The loud crash of a mop bucket echoed through the marble halls, sending a ripple of soapy water across the floor. For a brief, startling moment, the puddle reflected the faces of the men who had dropped it. Caleb Ward, a janitor in his early 30s, stood frozen. His uniform, a pale blue and faintly scented of detergent and rain. His hands, rough and worn from years of cleaning, trembled not from fatigue, but from something far heavier. His eyes were fixed on a painting ahead. A golden-framed portrait of a little girl, her curls soft and eyes, a striking shade of blue, stared back at him. The sight sucked the air from the room. Caleb stumbled backward, clutching his chest as memories he'd long buried surged forward. He knew that face. He knew those eyes. Every night, in the lonely corridors of the orphanage years ago, they had haunted his dreams. It can't be her, he whispered under his breath. Sunlight streamed through tall French windows, illuminating the elegant cream walls and antique furnishings of the Briarwood mansion. Across the room, Margaret Vale watched him closely. The mansion's owner, a poised art curator in her mid-30s, had always carried herself with quiet grace. Her pale blonde hair caught the light as she observed Caleb's reaction. A porcelain teacup untouched on the carved table beside her. Caleb couldn't tear his gaze from the portrait. The little girl looked about 5 or 6, just the age Anna had been. The child who had clung to him in the orphanage. Trembling during storms, whispering, "You're my only family, Mr. Caleb." He remembered the tiny hands gripping his shirt, the way she smiled even when food was scarce. He had promised to never leave her, but life had other plans. One morning, he'd gone out to find work repairing the orphanage's broken heater. When he returned, the gates were locked, the building silent. The children had been moved without warning, scattered to other facilities. No one had told him where Anna went. Years of searching yielded nothing, but Caleb never let go. He carried a little ribbon of hers in his pocket like a lifeline. And now, the girl's face stared back at him from the painting, golden frame and all. Margaret stepped closer, her curiosity softening into concern. "That's my niece," she said carefully, her voice low. Her name was Clara, passed away 7 years ago. The words hit Caleb like a physical blow. His knees nearly buckled. Passed away. He couldn't breathe. Grief and guilt washed over him. He had failed her once, and the world had taken her before he could make things right. Margaret watched as tears formed in his eyes, witnessing a raw human heartbreak that no piece of art had ever revealed to her before. Caleb began to speak, his voice trembling, recounting the orphanage, the children, the closures, the night he realized he was powerless to protect them. He spoke of Anna, the little girl who had believed in him when he had nothing left to believe in himself. The next day, Margaret revisited the mansion's library, poring over her late sister's records. Sunlight caught the dust motes, turning them into tiny golden stars as she flipped through old folders. Then she noticed something unexpected, a discrepancy in Clara's adoption papers. The dates aligned perfectly with Caleb's story, and the staff member who signed the transfer. Caleb Ward. She found him in the mansion again, quietly mopping the marble floor. Without a word, she handed him the folder. Caleb opened it with trembling hands. Seeing his own signature, a mixture of disbelief and relief broke across his face. The truth settled in Anna. The girl he had lost had been Clara all along. She had been adopted, given love, care, and opportunity. The child he feared lost forever had been cherished, even if fate had kept them apart. Caleb touched the edge of the portrait gently. "She remembered me," he whispered, a faint smile breaking through his tears. Margaret offered him a position at the mansion, not out of pity, but because the house needed someone who understood true care. Together, they restored the gallery, dedicating a wing to Clara and children from orphanages across the city. Caleb cleaned every frame with tenderness, his heart lighter than it had been in years. When he passed Clara's portrait, he paused, whispering a quiet goodnight. He no longer felt grief. For the first time, he felt found. If this story moved you, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Pure Hub, Kindness, where hope, compassion, and stories of love that endure can always be found.